Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today it's going to be like an in-depth glute workout video. So this video is going to be solely on the workout that I'm doing this morning, which is glutes and hamstrings. I think I'm going to make it like sort of a voiceover just so that I can really in-depthly describe what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how to just help you guys intensify your next glute and hamstring day. I'm not going to talk too much, I'm literally just going to get straight into the video. So yeah, the next whole part of the video I think will be a voiceover. So yes, I'll see you at the gym. Hey, so today we're going to be starting with barbell pulsed cast hip thrusts. So the reason I decided to do cast hip thrusts today is that it just keeps pressure on the glutes specifically rather than hamstrings. We're taking hamstrings more or less out of the equation. Cast hip thrusts mean that you are going just below halfway down for the movement rather than going all the way down to the floor like you usually would, and this just keeps constant pressure and constant tension within the glutes and doesn't really allow the hamstrings to do much work within this movement. And then just adding the pulse just adds that extra little bit of spice just to kill your glutes off. And you want to make sure that you have your chin tucked in within this movement and act as if your back and your glutes are kind of like scooping up the weight and you're not allowing much range of motion in your back. Okay, now we're going to be going straight into some dumbbell Bulgarian split squats supersetted with some dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. So 1 rep of a split squat and 1 rep of an RDL counts as 1 rep overall. Now the form for these, you want to have your front foot that is obviously on the floor. You want to have that a little bit further away from the bench rather than closer to the bench. This just puts more target on the glutes rather than the quads. And then the foot that is on the floor, you want to slightly externally rotate that. I also just find that this adds extra pressure onto the glutes. And then you always want to make sure that you're hip hinging during your glute movement. So just act as if you are pulling the dumbbells up at your hips, like at your glutes. You want to just pull it up with your glutes, and then you want to keep the dumbbells as close to your legs as possible, as if you're almost scraping your legs. And just to make sure that the tension is really kept within your glutes rather than your quads, I find that leaning forward targets the glutes even more within this movement, so your back is more of a diagonal rather than straight up, and having your head a little bit further down as well also helps just keep it in line with your back, and finding a spot on the floor also helps a lot with balance so that you're not kind of like wobbling around doing the reps. Okay, so now we're going to be going into barbell deficit reverse lunges. So these are unreal for the glutes if you get the form right. So there is a plate underneath my foot. I'm not really sure if you can see it or not, but I want the foot that is on the plate, I want it within the middle of the plate rather than further towards the back of the plate. And to make this a solely glute focused movement, you want to hinge at the hip. So what I mean by that is you want to have your upper body and your back leaning forward. So you want to kind of fold your upper body so that it's forward rather than facing the ceiling, and the leg that is coming behind, you want to have that at more of a wider stance. It just adds more pressure and tension within the glutes rather than the quads. I've also found that with the foot that is on the plate, that pushing the weight up within the back of your foot in your heel rather than towards the front of your foot within your toes also just targets the glutes more than the quads as well, as it just adds more pressure onto the whole back part of your leg rather than the front part of your leg. So the deficit part of this movement is really important in making this glute and hamstring focused. So this just allows your leg to just get deeper and allows you to have a larger range of motion within this movement. So I want you to do 3 sets of 10 reps on each leg for this. So moving on to another movement that I found unreal for the glutes as well if you get the form right. So we're going on to dumbbell sumo squat. So this obviously means that the feet are externally rotated, and I also find that it's quite easy to grab a heavy dumbbell for this, which just adds extra pressure onto the glutes. So when you're grabbing the dumbbell, I have 1 hand at the top, 1 hand underneath rather than 2 in the same place, and I try and keep the dumbbell as close as possible to my legs and also hip hinge always. All of these movements require hip hinging, which is why it makes it a glute focused movement. So my body is obviously leaning forward and I'm pulling the weight up with my glutes. I don't know how else to describe that apart from just imagine you are pulling this dumbbell up with your bum. And again, I also find that adding all of the pressure and all of the weight from the dumbbell into my heels rather than the toes on my feet also help keep the focus onto my glutes. Now, we don't want to be neglecting any isolation movements, so to finish off, we're going to be going into medius focused kickbacks. So with this, you want to bring the leg that is coming up into the air. You want to bring it quite far back when you bring it in. Rather than just behind your leg, you want to bring it a little bit further back, as if you would with like a curtsy lunge. It just adds more pressure and tension onto the side glute, your medius. And it also just adds more fatigue onto the supporting leg, which is on the floor. So I'm going to say it again, you want to hip hinge again. So you want to lean your body further, your upper body further forward rather than just having your body straight up, which obviously just adds more tension into the glutes, like I've said millions of times. And I want you to do 3 sets of 15 reps on this, as this is a really good movement to just get in some extra volume at the end of your session, just to fatigue your muscles, just that extra mile. And that is it, guys. I hope you try this on your next glute and hamstring day, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you do try it, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.